Welcome to Break Free and Be. Discover your courage, follow your heart, and start a new chapter living the life of your dreams. With your host, Melissa Daphnis.
Welcome to today's Break Free and Be expert interview with personal mastery coach RJ Hodges. Welcome, RJ. I'm so happy you joined us. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's definitely a pleasure.
Great. Well, listen, one of the things I promised our listeners was no BS and no fluffy blah, blah.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah, I knew you're that kind of guy.
I love it.
Let me do a little intro for you. RJ Hodges is a professional speaker, certified personal mastery life coach, certified practitioner in the healing art of Reiki, and the creator of a coaching system known as LIFE, Living in Full Existence. He's also a best-selling co-author of the book Mission Unstoppable, partnering with world-renowned leaders George Fraser and Les Brown. He's also author of the book You Can't Practice at the Game, The Art of Mastering You, Volume 1, an audiobook series called Winner Status. You can find his website at RJHodgesSpeaks.com. That's an impressive list, RJ.
Hey, listening to that, I'm always like, man, who is this person? But it's something that I'm humbled by. I always feel like it's so much more to do, so much more to accomplish. But I'm blessed and humbled by the things that I have been able to accomplish and the opportunities that I've been afforded. So definitely.
Well, I know you know your stuff. And one of the things that you like to say is nobody will ever truly work for you until you start working on you. Or nothing. Yeah. Sorry, nothing will ever truly work for you until you start working on you. Could you tell me a little bit about what you mean by that?
It was a discovery process that I think I personally came to. It wasn't necessarily for clients or anything like that. It was my own process, because what I started to figure out was most of the time when we're trying to achieve something or we're trying to reach some level of success, we're always working on the external strategies. We're buying programs, we're buying books, we're buying this. And please don't misunderstand. Those things are great. But most of the time we don't understand that external strategies, they always change. And the thing that really, really makes you better is becoming the higher and better version of yourself. Because a lot of those external strategies, they can never be birthed until they come into contact with the environment that can really serve them the way that they want to serve them. That's the missing piece in most self-help, talk and the things that we do in this industry. So the more and more I just kept buying into people's programs, I was trying to get the 6 steps to how to get wealth and the 10 steps to how to have a better relationship. I was applying all of this stuff. And to be honest, I was disappointed with all of it. It was good information, but it was something else. And it wasn't until I just said, no shortcuts. Let me find out who I am and let me start working on me and becoming the better version of me. That's the only time, to be honest, anything started to change and work in my life. And then that quote just kind of came about. Still to this day, I don't know if I made that quote up or if I read it somewhere. I honestly don't. But it just became sort of a mantra for me. Nothing ever worked for me until I started working on me.
Yeah, I certainly understand that. And that's great coaching, because it's a what's the word for it? It's personal growth. You have to grow into that person in order to get all of the goodies that come with that and follow those programs and get what's going. So
yeah, it's a big thing. I always say that a principle is only as good as the person or the spirit that it comes into contact with. So, a lot of times I have debate with friends that are coaches, and I'm not making fun of the steps and the principles because I think they're great. But if they don't come into contact with the right environment, then it's just a bunch of steps, and it's a bunch of, like you said, it's a bunch of fluff and hype at the end of the day, because nobody gets the real results.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
true. Well, this Tell Us Something is all about how to break free. So could you tell us the story of how you broke free from whatever it was that was holding you back?
How much time do you guys have on my break free story? And which break free do you want? Because I've had quite a few things to break free from, as we all do. One of the biggest things that comes to mind is, to me, I had to break free from the fear in my life. And when I say that, it is, and most people can relate to this, most people, no matter what area of your life it is, whether it's financial, whether it's relationships, whether it's spirituality, we all have a mental picture of what we want. But most of the time, that mental picture is different than what really is. So you may have a mental picture of a relationship that you want, but your current relationship or whatever it is, it's not that. But there's this gap between that's really fear of really making what's internal become external. And that was the thing I had to break free from, is to stop living a life externally that I wasn't happy with and that I wasn't living internally, because internally I was daydreaming about this stuff every single day. You know, I see myself doing this. I see myself being a speaker and a coach and an author. But then externally, there was this fear of me not really doing the things to get myself there. So I had to break away from that level of fear and, you know, what if I'm not good enough? And I pause right there, because I know a lot of people don't like to admit that they have those internal conversations. But, you know, what if I'm not good enough? You know, what if I'm not as good as a Les Brown or George Frazier or Wayne Dyer? You know, these guys are extraordinary. What if I'm not that? And I had to finally say that I'll be great enough for the people that I'm designed to reach. And that's all I ever need to do. And once I kind of settled that, it freed me. And today I live in that space. I live in that space of when I see something that's blissful in my mind, but it doesn't line up with what's outwardly happening, it's time for me to figure out how to get there, because my mind is the blueprint. It's telling me that for a reason. You know, so, you know, my biggest thing out of all of the small stories that I can tell, the biggest thing was breaking free from fear.
Fear. Well, that leads us right into my next question, because courage is a little something we could all use more of.
Right.
What an important step in discovering your courage. How did you discover your courage?
You know, for me, courage is the ability to do something that you're fearful of. You know, first and foremost, that's how I look at courage. But the first thing about courage is finding out, why am I fearful of this thing? You know, because a lot of times we're fearful of things and we have absolutely no idea why. And I think first and foremost, the biggest tip that I give to people of how to discover your courage is to find out, first and foremost, why are you fearful, but find out what's feeding the fear. Because most of the time it's some form of information. People always say, what's the root to fear? To me, it's information. Fear is really the abundance of the negative information of the things that you don't know. I just came out of a coaching session with somebody and we're talking about relationships. So fear is her saying, I want this type of relationship, but all of my friends, all of my girlfriends, all of the people that I know, they say that this type of person doesn't really exist. And it's taking in that level of information. Not only does it allows you to dumb yourself down, but on top of that, it puts you in a position where you can't have courage to step out on something that you're fearful of because you have wrong information about it. It's amazing that when you have the level of information, even if the information is not true yet, you have courage. And I'll give you a perfect example. Have you ever put on a great outfit and to you look absolutely stunning? It doesn't mean that you look stunning to everybody. That's a reality check for most people, but it doesn't mean that. But it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that the information that you have and the information that you see is, I look absolutely stunning. It's amazing the level of courage, and watch this word, confidence now, that you have when you walk in a room. It doesn't matter that 10 people in that room are like, oh, that's an old dress. I've seen it before. It doesn't matter if they say, oh, that's a cheap dress. It came from the little boutique down the street. It doesn't matter. It doesn't disturb your being, simply because now you have the courage, because you have the right information, which breeds the right mindset, which breeds the right attitude, which gives you the confidence and the courage to step out on pretty much anything. That's
really, really good advice. Talking about that, other people's expectations, it kind of leads us into the next thing.
Right.
We hear so much of other people's expectations, and you have your own heart, and you want to follow your own heart, and exactly what you're just talking about. How can people start on the journey of following their own heart?
You know, first and foremost, I think you have to identify what it is that you want specifically. You know, it's hard to follow your heart when everything is abstract. And a lot of times when I work with clients, I ask them this question over and over again: what do you want? I want to be happy, RJ. What do you want? I want to be happy. How? You know, what's going to make you happy? And a lot of times, once you define what you want, now you can plot that plan of how to get there. Now, other people may not understand this plan, but what you have to understand is that the things and the desires of your heart, they're not the same for everybody else. And that's okay. If we all had the same desires, it would be a pretty dull and kind of, you know, boring type of world. But the first step is to identify what you really want. But now, once you identify what you really want, now it comes something that I call manufacturing. Meaning that once I identify what I want, everything around you has to be conducive to manufacture that thing. what amazes me a lot is that a lot of times we want something, but nothing else in our life is conducive to manufacture that. For example, if I wanted to plant tropical plants, let's say that's the thing that I want in my life. I want to plant tropical plants, but I live in Alaska. I have a slight dilemma. There's a slight dilemma because the climate and the circumstances and all of the things that are around me, they're not conducive for tropical plants. And it's not about if I'm diligent enough to plant the seed, if I'm diligent enough to water, it's about it's not conducive. So a lot of times for a lot of people, the first step to following your heart is, I know what I want, but is everything around me conducive? Do I have the people around me that are conducive to help me produce? Do I have the right information that's helping me produce? A quick story. When I was writing my book, I talked to a self-publisher and she said, RJ, you may want to think about doing something else because people aren't buying books the way they used to. Way to rain on my parade, right? So I said, okay, and I hung up with her and I felt really, I felt just horrible, to be honest, because I'm thinking like, this is my dream. I want to write a book. So right then I've identified what I want, but at the same time, nothing around me is conducive. So just so happened, I do have a friend that's a best-selling author. I called him and I said, hey, listen, do you think I should do something else? Because I just talked to a self-publisher. He said people aren't buying books anymore. He said, RJ, I sold 10 to 15,000 books last week.
Wow.
I said, oh, okay. He said, yeah, finish what you're doing and find another self-publisher or find somebody else. But that right there was the information. That was the environment. That was the thing that I needed to produce. That was the thing that I needed to help me continue to follow my heart.
Wow. That's a really good story. It just leads back to the expectations. Other people rain on our parades all the time. And it's,
unfortunately.
I like the way you said that you have to find the environment that's conducive. If somebody is raining on your parade, if you were outside in the rain, you might as well get out of the rain. So
definitely. And the biggest thing that I always tell people is a lot of this stuff, we know it. It's not necessarily rocket science stuff, but you have to apply it. The biggest thing that I caution every listener about, I made a video about this on Friday, is when you hear stuff, not saying, oh yeah, I know, I heard that before. Oh yeah, I get it, RJ, I heard that before. What I always tell people, life doesn't respond to what you've heard. Life doesn't even respond to what you know. Because if that was true, I mean, people know a lot of stuff, but the world would be a perfect place if life responded to what you know. Life only responds to one thing. It responds to what you adopt and adapt to your daily routine. Point blank, period. That's the only thing life will respond to. And a lot of time in coaching sessions, I purposely, especially in the beginning with clients, I keep things extremely simple, extremely foundational. And people are looking for the magic secret. RJ, when are you going to get deep on me? When you're going to say something I've never heard before. But I always tell them, you don't need the thing you've never heard before if the things that you've heard aren't a part of who you are yet. So a lot of times it's about us, the things that we know, it's about learning to apply those things consistently.
I'm taking notes. I love this. This is great. So knowing that, what would you tell someone who wants to live the life of their dreams?
To start off, like I said before, if you want to live a life of your dreams and you've identified that and you know exactly what it is you want, now you're going to get the conducive environment. A lot of people may ask, well, RJ, how do I get the conducive environment? Oh, I got something right now that's just, it's revelation. It's going to blow your mind. There is one way to get the conducive environment. Google. Somebody's like, what does that mean? The reason I say Google, because a lot of people will say, well, I don't know anybody that's a best-selling author, or I want to be a doctor. I don't know any doctors. Guess how many doctors there are in your general area? When I say Google, what I mean by that is go Google a doctor in your general area if that's the desire of your heart, and reach out to that doctor. Now, you can't reach out and say, hey, mentor me, I want to be a doctor, but reach out to serve them. Hey, do you need any help around your office? I'll volunteer. I don't want to get paid. Can I take you to lunch and can I ask you some questions? Whatever you have to do, but that's the type of person you now want in your environment, because that's going to help you follow your heart. That's going to show you the path that you need to stay on in the midst of that. And drowning yourself. I love Tony Robbins, and he always say you have to submerge. You can't be a dabbler, as Tony Robbins would always say. if you want to be a doctor, you can't dabble a little bit in it. Mm-hmm. You got to go all the way into the thing that you want. You know, the fact that I always wanted to be a speaker and a coach, I couldn't dabble in it. I can't tell you how many hours I've logged at listening to my favorite speakers, whether it's Les, whether it's George, whether it's Wayne Dyer, who I absolutely appreciate his work, whether it's, you know, Tony Robbins, like these people, like I've just logged time and hours and hours, because you have to kind of submit and submerge yourself in that thing that you say you want. In other words, what I'm saying is, in order to follow your heart, you have to become the thing that you need.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that's really good advice. That's really good advice. So you were just saying, let me kind of get this back to you. Identify,
mm-hmm.
get a conducive environment. In other words, Google it, reach out, you know, submerge yourself in it. And
right.
My next question to you was, what 2 action steps would you give our listeners today? So the first 2 things you would say so they can start moving toward living the life of their dreams. 2 action steps.
Who do you serve?
Mm.
Who do you serve? Because a lot of times I think, and somebody may be saying, is that an action step? In a way. But a lot of times I think we get caught up when I ask people, what do we want? We give things like, I want to be happy. I want to travel the world. I want to sit on the beach. Mm-hmm. Those are perks. Those are pleasurable rewards for serving. So the first action step, after you know how to identify the thing that you want and you want to follow your heart, and you also get the conducive environment, you also want to find out, well, now who do I serve? Mm-hmm. Who do I serve? And the best question to ask yourself is, what problem or issue in the world touches your heart or bothers you the most? Mm-hmm. Because typically that is the problem or issue that you were designed to help solve. Mm-hmm. What are you always talking about? And it goes back to the first action step is, how do I add value? How do I add value to this group of people that I want to serve? And a lot of times you're going to add value, and it's not going to be for money, meaning nobody's going to pay you to add this value. You just got to add value anyway. Because here's the one thing that that everybody can agree with. There is nobody on this planet that has figured out a way to add significant value to people that haven't been handsomely rewarded. Name somebody. I can't think of anybody. Nobody. There's nobody. If you figured out a way how to add a significant amount of value in the life of people, there's no way that you wouldn't be rewarded. So think about the things that bother you the most. Think about the things that touch you the most. Is what you do, who is it serving, and how can you add value? You add value, the things of your heart. It's almost like people sometimes get mad at me because I have these conversations, and I'll say, I'm not against making money, because I understand where we live, and I understand that financial freedom is a big deal for all of us. I'm not against making money, but I am 1,000% against chasing money. Yeah. I'm 1,000% against that. And sometimes when we're following our heart, it's driven by reward. Mm-hmm. It's driven by, you know, I'm going to get in this industry because it's booming right now. And if I do this and I do that, I'll be able to walk away from this job. You know, it's all of this money driven things. And that's not a bad thing, but I'm just telling you to flip the system. If you start saying, no, who can I serve today? Whose life could I make better? I guarantee you, as I'm sitting here, the money, the rewards, it will start to chase you. Wow. The only reason I'm sitting here today, because just to be very transparent, there's nothing about my life, if you looked at my life, that warrants me to be sitting here. Absolutely not. I didn't go to school to be a life coach, even though I've gotten certifications and all that stuff at this point. I never went to school to write a book. Mm-hmm. Any of that. I just got to the point that I'm like, there's something in me. There's an issue and there's a problem in me that I want to help solve, because it won't let me rest. Let me just go do it. Awesome. Wow. That says a lot. Serving, who do you serve, and adding value. I mean, that's so important. That's one more quick thing that I'll add to that. Start where you are. If you're in the process of following your heart, start where you are. So many people don't start because they're waiting for that perfect day. You know, you're waiting until something big happens for you to start. No, start where you are. If it means that, you know, only thing you have to give right now is time, give that. You know, you may not be able to take the doctor to lunch, but go to their office and sweep the floor if you have to get the information. but start where you are. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she said, RJ, my biggest desire in the world is to mentor and help youth. She said, but I don't have a facility. I work a full-time job. I said, well, what do you want to help youth with? She said, I want to help particularly youth not travel the wrong path and make better decisions. I said, do you have a philosophy about that? She said, yes. I said, I should see a YouTube video coming up from you every week then. Mm-hmm. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. All you do is turn the camera on and do what you say you do. And it's something about doing what you say you do and following that. All the other doors, they just tend to open. Wow.
So since you mentioned that, start where you are, what would you tell people who are kind of stuck and they don't know how to break free?
The first thing about, and I actually wrote something about this since you asked me this question, and so I don't veer off, let me tell you exactly what I wrote down. Good. So the first thing about being stuck is most of the time people are stuck because you're looking for the quick fix. You're in a situation, and again, don't think that I'm making light of anybody's situation, because God knows I've been in some bad ones, financial and every otherwise you can think of. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times, because we want the quick fix, we're not doing the things daily to get us unstuck. Mm-hmm. So we want the quick fix. So it's like, okay, I'm going to buy this guy's program that promised me he can get me to 6 figures in the next 45 days. And I'm not saying that he can't, but the likelihood of it is it's kind of slim. There's a few guys out there that I believe in that could probably do it, but the majority of these people are saying that their business is selling you a system that says they can get you to 6 figures in 45 days. They don't. That is their business. But because we're looking for the quick fix, we buy into that and we do it for a little while. Mm-hmm. And we when that doesn't work, we move on to the next quick fix, not understanding that how you get unstuck is all about your rituals and your daily routine. Mm. What's in your daily routine? What are you doing daily? And then on top of that, here's 2 things you can look at to get you unstuck. Are you corresponding or are you contradicting? Mm. Number 1, are you corresponding, which means whatever it is that you want out of life, are you mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally corresponding with it? Or are you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally and physically contradicting it? Mm. It's amazing how many things we want, but if we really examine our lives, everything about us is the direct opposite of it. Tell this story all the time. I'll tell it again. It's still funny. I was working with a lady who was on the phone, and she said, RJ, this year I'm going to get it right. I am going to lose weight. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to get my health together. Wait a minute. Hold on, RJ. Yeah, let me get a number 6 with cheese. Wait, what? All of this in the same breath. And I'm like, wow, like you did that, with confidence. You didn't even hit mute. And I said, wait a minute, what are you doing? And it hit me right then, like, wow, you can want a certain thing and you can feel stuck. But if you're doing something that's the direct opposite, and that's really simple because we can see that clearly, but think about everything else. Maybe you're working a job and you want to be free from that job, but you go home every day and you plop down on the couch and you watch reality TV for 3 hours until you pass out and you wake up and you go to work again. Mm-hmm. It's never going to change. It's never going to happen. And I hate to be the one to just break it like that, but because I did it over and over again for years and nothing ever happened. So as long as you're not contradicting and you're at least doing something to correspond with what you want, stuck is not even an issue. Wow.
That's great advice. That's a great story. And that's great advice. I knew we'd get the no BS stuff.
I couldn't make that story up if I tried. It's no matter how many times I tell it, I laugh every single time because it was just like, it was this eye opener because I had never thought about that concept like that before. And just to be on the phone. And then when I finally said it to her, I think she still got her food, but she was like, it was like this dead silence moment of like, whoa, wait a minute. And I'm just like, what are you waiting on? You're going to do this one day, huh? But
tomorrow,
right. And tomorrow, as I've been told, is not a date on the calendar. It's a figment of our imagination. But, people always ask me, how do I judge myself? That's how I judge myself every single day. Whatever it is that I'm going after, that I correspond with it today.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't gotten to today?
What else? Let's see. Other than just really understanding the system of success, you know, I know people that's going to be watching this, they're trying to break free and they're trying to become something that's in their mind. But understand that the system of success, it works from the inside out. You know, and unfortunately, most of the time, we're going to try to work it from the outside in. Meaning that we're going to get a bunch of stuff to strategies and this and that. And again, the strategies are great. We need the strategies. But if you only major on strategies, it's probably going to be heartbreaking. So the biggest thing I always tell people is take the time, develop who you are. And here's the thing, don't try to go at that alone. I think that's another thing that is difficult for most people, is that this all sounds good until we get off of this and you turn the show off, you know, but don't try to go at the personal development alone. There are people out here that really want to help you do that, because my mentor, one of my mentors used to always say, a fool is his own advisor.
Yeah.
So it becomes difficult for you to advise yourself. And sometimes you need somebody else to help you do what I call face yourself. Find out what's hindering you. Find out what's really holding you back. Because it's not anything outside of you. It's not the money. It's not the lack thereof. It's not necessarily your circumstances. The stuff that's holding us back the most is within. That's
a really good point. And in fact, that leads us right into the final thing, which I'd like to talk about, is your free gift that our listeners can click on right below this video.
The free gift is what I thought of would be really good for anybody that's listening. I believe that specifics are key. And sometimes, of course, I believe in programs. I got some programs coming out, but I really still believe in one-on-one coaching. I still really believe in let's get in these trenches together. So for the first 20 people that email me personally, and my email address, my personal email address is going to be on here because I personally want to get it. I don't want anybody else to get it, so I don't want anybody to slip through the cracks. But the first 20 people that email me personally, I'm going to give you a free 20-minute virtual coaching consultation. People say, only 20 minutes? I talk a lot. I say 20 minutes so that we can know, but chances are it'll be 25 minutes. But anyway, a free virtual coaching consultation. Virtual meaning that we'll get on Zoom, we'll get on Skype, we'll get on the phone, whatever works better for you. Because I want to find out who you are, where you are, and more importantly, where are you aspiring to be? And that way I can tell you how coaching can personally help you, how it can add value to you. And I'll even give you some tips right then and there on things you can start doing specifically for you right then and there. I think that, to me, if somebody had did that for me when I first started, just 20 minutes to just tell me, RJ, you're here, you're going here. This is your focus is off. You need to shift this. That alone would have saved me years, literally years. So for the first 20 people that do that, that email me personally, you get that free consult. You know, unfortunately, it's the time consuming, so I can't do it for everybody that emails me. Everybody else after those 20, I'm going to add you to a group that I just started on Facebook called Superior Entrepreneurs. It's for entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. If you're not an entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur, hey, I add you anyway. I think you'll become inspired just because. But it's really a group that I started for just that. No BS, no hype, no fluff. I won't be in there showing you cheesy videos of cars that I just purchased or new mansions that I just got, you know, or checks with blotted out my name with a figure on it. All that stuff is great, and it does provide some level of inspiration. You know, and I've been blessed enough to be fortunate enough to get some rewards out of the stuff that I do. But after a while, all of that becomes like cut and paste to me. Like everybody uses the same emotional marketing to draw you in. I'm not going to be doing any of that. It's just going to be straight information.
Yep. I think our audience is probably hip to that by now. You know, they've probably seen that before.
But it still works, though. You know, so many people do it, and I see the ads every day, and I see people, because I think, you know, don't get me wrong, there are some genuine people out there that have changed their life around for the better, and they show you this stuff just to inspire you. And I can name some of them, and I appreciate them. But there are some other people that it's just marketing. Yep. You know, they know how to go in front of the right house that they don't own. They know how to go to, car lots when they're closed, and they can get good lighting. They can stand in front of Lamborghinis real quick and hurry up and shoot us a clip. And, you know, they know how to manipulate the system. And unfortunately, when someone is trying to break free, sometimes you can't see that part of the manipulation because you need something right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it. And there's no doubt in my mind, and hopefully not in our listeners' mind, that you're the real deal and you give real value when you talk to anybody. So I hope people get on there right away and get hold of you. And I know that even the Facebook group is going to be a great resource, and I'll probably be one of the first people signing up for that.
Yeah, it's new. It's a new group. So, I mean, there's probably like 1 or 2 people in there right now. I hadn't promoted it. I hadn't really put it out. I think I said it on one interview not too long ago, but I hadn't put it out to anybody because it's not something where I'm necessarily trying to drum up 30,000 people in there. I just really want real serious people that's like, I'm ready to go through whatever process necessary to get real results in my life.
Well, you have been just a wealth of information. I mean, I took a whole page and a half.
Good deal.
This again. Yeah, so thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it. And you have just given such great information. I love it. I got to go back through it and I'm watching the interview again myself.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. And to anybody and everybody trying to break free, just know that you're not alone. We're with you. The fact that Melissa even put together this show, it lets you know the heart of people that are out there that understand that process of breaking free and really want to serve you and give you some value.
Thank you, RJ. You have a great day. And
all right, thank you. You too.
Hear from you soon.
Definitely.
All right. Bye-bye.